All right, we are live. Welcome, my fellow stackers, to episode 21 of Mastering Metals. Guys, what is going on with silver? Isn't it incredible? I mean, are you ready to have some fun talking about what is going on, not just with silver, but also gold, maybe even platinum, palladium? How about copper? We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. So I'm Yankee, your podcast host, and before we have our guests join us, check out a few of these silver pieces right here on my desk that I snagged before this latest spike in the price of silver from my favorite online bullion dealer, SD Bullion. Love them for many reasons. I've shared that in the past and I will in the future as well. But if you're interested in getting some of these beauties, SD Bullion's the place to go. All right, I think it's time. Let's bring in Chase Turner, their CEO, and James Anderson, their senior market analyst.
Hey, Yankee.
Chase.
Good evening.
James, welcome.
Hey, what's up, Yankee? Thanks for having us back.
Oh, it's so great to have you. Thanks again for joining. Let's get right into it. Our first segment, Markets and Macros, where we discuss recent precious metals news and trends. And wow, have we seen some trends over the past few days. So, James, everybody's talking about silver. Last week, we saw some very strong price action Thursday and Friday. Friday, it was up, I think it was over 3% alone on that day. And we broke the 2011 highs. What is driving this silver rise?
Yeah, so it broke, I think, the 2011 September high, and so that's almost a 14-year high. I think it's just a build-up pressure, right? It had been consolidating and bumping its head for a while off of 34, 35, and people wondering when is it going to break. Like 36 was kind of the key number, and it finally broke that 37 kind of resistance, and once it did, the pressure kind of blew off and it shot to 39 quick. There's a lot of speculation as to whether or not there's some other side short traders that are caught short. We'll see. That you never know. Like, you really don't want to see that action. You don't want to see it go sloppily vertically. I'd rather see it grind slowly up, so we kind of keep building that sideways base. Of course, I think it's going up. It's a question of how long it's going to take, till we eventually get and retest that old record ancient nominal high at 50. But first things first is let's get past 40, right, and see how it reacts once it gets to 40, 41, 42, which is, there's a lot of old resistance around 41, 42 levels. You have to kind of go back like this. I know some people roll their eyes when they look at this, and when I say this, but a lot of the resistance levels are old, 2011 candles. So you got to go back and look at the 2011 highs and lows and kind of look at those candles to gather information as to what traders look at in terms of old resistance levels and places where they'll put stops and places where there'll be battles to the up and downside. So it's all good action. It's all bullish. It's great.
It is. Although the title said though 36 or 40. Where do you see silver touching first?
36 or 40. That's a good question. I'm just looking at the chart right now. I think 40. I think we can this run. I think we can have an impulse move maybe this week to 40 before we go back and retest 36. So I'm gonna go bullish and go nominal 40 touch before we come back.
Well, I made my prediction last December that the spot price of silver was going to hit 40 by the end of this year, and people were telling me, "No, by the end of the month, Yankee." I don't know. We'll see. But I do think I watched it obviously this morning. Or last night, it kind of held steady, but this morning it seemed like there was some shorting coming on, and it was
the one thing you can look at too that'll give you a sense of like the power that's happening right now is the spot gold silver ratio. It's falling precipitously. It has good momentum to the downside. And what happens a lot of times is during the summer, like there's just lower volumes because there's just not as many traders at the desks.
Right.
And so I think you get a lot of short-term using of the spot gold silver ratio to try and make profits, trying to eke out profits by moving the markets one way or another. And right now the trend is down for the spot gold silver ratio. So you could have a situation where gold is kind of still churning sideways and silver is just gaining speed, and that's I think where we're in. We're in kind of one of those eras.
Yeah, we're at the 87 and change mark for the GSR.
Got down to 86 today at some point.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the momentum is to the downside on the GSR.
Yeah. 2 months ago it was over 100, right?
Oh,
I mean, last time I was on when we did this, it was over 100.
Yeah, I mean, it spiked to 106, 107 during the Liberation Day, early April, right? And there were people out there, I saw videos of guys being like, yeah, 160 looks like it's going to go to 160. It's like, it's weird because you pull back a chart, like a long-term charts, and anytime the spot gold silver ratio goes over 100, it eventually a month or two later snaps back and does a big move back downward. So, yeah, I mean, it was important not to lose your head, but it was hard not to because Trump was, he was inciting tariffs all over the place. So who knows?
Yeah, we're going to touch on tariffs in a little bit, but first I wanted to talk about copper. I mean, whoa, last Tuesday, I think if I'm reading the chart right, because I don't follow copper all that much, but it spiked up on, what was it, the 8th? Yeah, Tuesday the 8th. Big jump up, big gap up. Is this somehow connected to silver in its move?
So copper and silver have some correlation, but it's mostly on the industrial side. And I think just the fact that it came out of nowhere and it was more than people thought, that tariff threat, whether or not it's going to stick or not, we don't know. But I think what you end up seeing is then there's a lot of people that fear again of what we saw in early April and that unknown of, well, what if he does some type of threat about silver as well? It's possible that that's leading into, a little bit of this action, maybe. You do see a situation now where the front month's futures silver price did jump up above London spot. So what that inevitably means is that, you know, the COMEX is trying to drag silver away from London, whereas the London 1 month lease rates has popped up in order to try and keep the London metal, you know, there. We'll talk about London eventually, but we have another situation again where it looks like the free float is going down.
Yeah, I was watching your Friday video, as everybody that's watching this podcast right now needs to do on SD Bullion's site. Make sure you're subscribed to SD Bullion's YouTube channel. See James's weekly videos. I watch it religiously, and I enjoy the insights that I get. And sometimes I kind of pull like snippets out of there to have you go in a little more deeply for us. And one of them is the tariffs. So this guy, Robert Gottlieb, do you know him?
So I'm friendly with him, polite with him on LinkedIn. We've had a lot of messages back and forth.
Okay.
You know, he was a former, you know, trader on the Bear Stearns precious metals desk before Bear Stearns went under in 2008. And then, if you know the history about silver, JP Morgan inherited all these old ex-traders from Bear Stearns, and he was one of them. And so I just keep the engagement light. I just want to kind of pick his mind and understand where he's coming from and what he's trying to, you know, what he's trying to say, what he's trying to talk about. And he does do a pretty good job of eloquating what's going on. I think sometimes it's a little bit of a spin because he comes from his side of the desk, and we come with our spin from the retail side of the desk. So, so we all have our takes, and then you know, he's been engaging publicly a lot.
He actually was pointing at Trump's tariff threats on Canada specifically. 35%. I think I think today Trump threatened tariffs on Russia in like 50 days. You know, the whole tariff thing. Do you buy it? Do you think that this is somehow connected to you know, the silver price jump?
It's possible. I mean, it's the problem is just the fact of just not knowing, and then out of the clear blue sky, there'll just be an edict on a Twitter box.
Yep.
And, you know, it just moves the markets one way or another. The algos go crazy. So, I mean, it's possible. Really what matters is just look at the price, look at the lease rates, you know, look at the float, look at the data. It'll pretty much tell you what's driving it underneath it. We won't ever know because we can't interview the entire market, right? But it's possible that some of this is from that.
Yeah. And one other thing that I saw on your great video there was the year-to-date outflows of silver ETFs held in London's vault. Can you kind of explain this chart to us?
Yeah, so that is probably the one from Hugo Pascal, who works in Improved Metals, and another guy who works for TD Metals. He also does calculation of the free float in London. I think the last time Hugo updated it was 148.8 million, and which is going down. I mean, 155 million was the last update from the other guy from TD. So Daniel Golly's the other guy, by the way, his name. So the combination of those two, there are two analysts out there who are constantly tracking this information, which is kind of important because it gives you a concept of, you know, London in general. They have a total number that the LBMA publishes to try and pretend like they have transparency going on there, but it's not all that transparent. So when you look at the number, it's just this huge block of silver that they pretend is, you know, look how much silver we have. And then it's like, okay, well, let's go find out whose silver that is. And it turns out that the vast majority of it is unsecured ETFs and ETP inventories that are, you know, those are the numbers that they disclose as being part of those two types of derivative proxies. And it's like, you know, whether or not you believe those ETFs and those ETPs have those ounces or not, well, that's what they're saying. And if you crunch down the numbers, only about 148 million ounces in that entire block of silver that London claims to have is unknown. Basically, it's free float silver, quote, free float silver. We don't know who owns that. There are probably a lot of private investors who own it. And the question is, what price are they willing to let that go, or what lease rates are they willing to lend it? And, you know, those ETFs and ETPs, there can be shenanigans with those as well. But the bottom line is that the free float is dropping. And so it's showing that there's a lot of demand. And I think the number is 68 million net inflow into those ETFs and ETPs thus far in the year. 68 million is a pretty good amount of silver for just ETFs and ETPs in London alone. So it's telling you that there's capital inflows into silver. There's a lot of people who are making bets on silver for the second half of the year, it looks like.
Chase, I'm hearing from people who say they fear that they've missed out on a reasonable price for silver and gold. Oh
Yeah.
no, what do I do? I mean, I just literally saw something in the chat, people saying, oh man, I should have bought more. Somebody said, I want it to go down. Are you seeing that on the retail side? No, I'm serious. If you've been stacking for a while, you look at this
Yeah.
and go, boom, I'm being proven right. And if you've just
Yeah.
started, you're looking at this going, oh crap,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Yeah, I get it. Sometimes I feel that way about Bitcoin. But no, it's an accumulation asset, right? So
Mm-hmm.
price point is it's always relevant in the fact that you have to trade your current fiat dollars, but it's irrelevant in the fact that it's an accumulation asset. It's not you're not getting a dividend. You're not swing trading. You're
Right.
not short term trading. So you accumulate what you can. You got your plan, and I know Yankee, you're really good at that, right? You got your strategy and your plan, and the consistency of accumulation. And at the end of the day, yeah, of course, you always want to accumulate more. I mean, when I got in the business, gold was $900 an ounce,
There you
right? And
go.
it seemed expensive back then. Silver was only $9. So yeah, anybody that was, and James was around back then. Anybody, and you were buying back then. Anybody who's been buying that long, yeah, of course you wish you would have bought more. But
Right.
at the end of the day, for what? You're not selling, right? You're holding it. So it's hard in these phases for sure. It's more of a psychological game, I think, than anything, right? Of just
Right.
reminding yourself constantly what your strategy is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're not really in it for the price action. It's always fun to see the metal. It's always fun to see it go up when you already have some,
Right.
right? There's no doubt. But myself, I'm still accumulating Yankee. So, and of course, it gets more expensive to keep accumulating. It's
know.
harder for everybody to accumulate.
It reminds me of the old adage: when's the best time to plant a tree?
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
When's the second
10 years
best?
ago.
Today.
Now.
Now.
Yeah,
Right. So if
exactly.
you
Yeah.
haven't stacked any silver or gold, this is the time to do it. But silver, I looked at the GSR. Yeah, that looks like it's down, but it's still high. That is
Yeah.
still high historically. So I think it's obviously when we see silver hit 50, 60, you're not going to be too concerned which part of the 30s you got in on. So,
Yeah, and you're still going to be accumulating at 60, right? So, it just is what it is. One thing that James said that stuck out to me about the inflows is one thing we are noticing at SD Bullion is we're starting to get an uptick. It's been like this for maybe the last 6 months of, I would say, significantly large investors, whether it's, oh, I represent a family office
mm-hmm.
or I represent this family over here, and they're looking for like very, very large volumes of purchases, in the multi-millions of dollars. Not saying that we get to execute all of those, but we've certainly seen an uptick in inquiries for that level of investment. And I
Mm-hmm.
would say since the time I've been at SD Bullion since 2016, this is not really something I've ever heard of. Like, so you're seeing big money really paying attention to precious metals now, like I've never seen it in my career.
So high net worth investors are getting on the line, big whales, essentially.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No, that's good. That's good.
Well, let's.
I mean, that when that starts to occur, that's a phase transition. I think those people are finally waking up that they are in a new ball game. Like the stock bubble time is over, and the bond market is in trouble. And that's good. It's good to hear.
The scales are dropping.
Yeah.
We're seeing people wake up and notice this in a different way. I don't know. Let's see. Let's bring up your site real quick. This thing just screams at me. Free silver round. Free 1/4 ounce freedom silver. I love my freedom rounds. Now, how do I get? Whoops, it skipped on. There's all kinds of different stuff. How do I get to my 250 plus purchase of 1,000 order only, one per household? Well, I'm going to click the deals page. And right here,
good place to start.
I love going here. And 1.5 ounce Royal Canadian Mint silver coins, random design at spot.
At spot.
So wait a minute. Okay, they're right here, right on the same page. We got an at spot deal and then a free silver round. What are you
I think that's
doing?
the first time I've ever seen that.
That's amazing.
I mean,
that's
it's
really
the nature
good.
of the market we're in. I mean, it's if you're a buyer right now, you're extremely excited.
Wow.
And if you're a seller, the bids aren't as good as they were 3 years ago. But
Another one, generic. I like this one, generic silver secondary market. I like cheap silver.
yeah,
So yeah, and I have eased up on
go
my.
ahead and open that category,
This one,
Yankee. Yeah, yeah. So this is a new
affordable.
category we just added. It's a
Oh,
secondary silver market to where if you are a value buyer, you can go into this category, and this is going to be all of our
ooh.
secondary products. So these are going to be a lot lower price than your new stuff off the mint.
When did you start this category? Because I don't remember
It's
this.
it's recent, very recent. I think
Oh,
just
okay.
last week they published it. Yeah.
Wow,
That's
that
cool. So
I'll
that's
have.
internal buybacks essentially getting sold
Yes,
back to retail
I'm
public.
gonna have to
Yep.
peruse this
Nice,
more detail, but
nice.
that's neat. I like you did
Yep.
that, and of course the Scottsdale Mint rounds. You still have some?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they're still hot.
Oh,
We're now
good. They
now we're
should
getting
be.
demand from people outside of the U.S., which is cool. We're seeing
Nice,
people reach out. Yep. Friends across the pond are wanting them over there now.
as they should. True
That's
patriots,
right.
even across the pond.
Yeah.
Premiums,
Yeah.
Chase. What is happening with premiums right now with the price increase in silver?
Yeah, we're in physical. That's the beautiful thing about being in physical. It's all supply and demand, and unfortunately, right now there's just not a ton of demand in the retail sector. There hasn't been for quite some time compared to previous times. Speaking to somebody that's been in the industry for a little bit longer than I have, or almost 20 years, and they made a really good point. They said, we sold 7 years of bullion in 4 years, you know, in COVID, and so
Right.
you
That
know,
was hot. Yeah.
it's we're in an interesting time period for sure, where you see all this price action in metals. As I mentioned, you're seeing big. I mean, central banks are still buying at record levels, or maybe not record levels, but very high levels
It
compared
is
to.
record. It's
Okay,
record.
it's still record. Okay,
Okay.
so you got central banks still buying at record levels. You got
Wow.
family offices that manage multi-million-dollar family offices that are interested. Um, the retail public that we're used to dealing with, it's not kicked in yet, and I don't know exactly
Interesting.
why it is, but that's why you're seeing, again, great time to be buying at these premiums, right?
James, is it related to the R word, recession? Um, whether or not we've dodged a bullet with, Trump, and he's going to avoid it with the big, beautiful bill that's now law, and all the changes, all the successes he's had over the last month, barring one that I'm not going to mention. But it's really, interesting that I think some people believe, a lot of people actually, that we've averted a recession. And in that kind of climate, silver usually performs well from an industrial metal standpoint. Recessions tend to suppress silver's price, temporarily until there's a response by the
The
Fed.
infinite QE spigot kicks on.
Until the Fed does its work, right? So, I mean, could that also be explaining, the recession's off?
Yeah, no, that is a good point. I mean, I don't think we pound the table hard enough, and Tyler was pounding the table with me earlier today when we did our discussion in Toledo near HQ.
Mm-hmm.
He was pounding the table, just saying, like, the industrial demand is just so gigantic right now, and it's global, and it's silver's just going into everything, and it's sucking up excess capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not your 2011 silver bull, right? This is not driven by QEs and just worries and concerns about what that's gonna do. I mean, I showed him an old screenshot on his on Silver Doctors back in the day, where the spot price of silver that day, I believe it was in May of 2011, was like 37 change, 37.56. Spot price of gold was like 1,500 and change, and the DXY was like 74, right? The DXY today is like 97, right?
Wow.
So like gold is more than doubled, and silver's poised to start catching up toward gold. And supposedly we've had all this dollar strength, and bad start to the dollar relative to other fiat currencies, but just shows you how stupid the U.S. dollar index is. If you're a bullion person and you listen to people talking about the U.S. dollar index, on the long term, you might have relative strength in the dollar versus other fiat currencies, but it's losing to gold precipitously year after year after year, and silver eventually too. So yeah, I mean, in short, it's like, will there be a recession? Will there not? It's hard to say. I assume there'll be some black swan, something out of nowhere that may bring on some type of real crisis. Whether that happens this fall or next year, hard to say, but I'm sure something's going to happen in Trump's time.
Hopefully a financial black swan.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't imagine with all, you can't jack interest rates up, 4 or 5% like we've been with all the, all the debt, that everyone has, and not have something blow up at some point. It's just a matter of time.
Yep.
And the question is, how does that domino kind of cascade and get going?
Well, if Trump had his way, he would have rates cut like months ago, right? And so did you see the rumor mill churning last week over whether Jerome Powell was going to step down, resign? I think President Trump wants him to. What do you think? How likely is that, really?
I don't know, but the idea that Fannie Mae is going to go public or whatever, and some guy who's going to be involved in that is just throwing rumors out like that, it's just absolute chicanery. It's just insane. So, I mean, it's just more. We're only 6 months into the Trump regime, and this has just been chaos. So,
it's been interesting. I've never seen the first 6 months of any president. I've been, I'm almost 60. Never seen it like this. This is unbelievable. Hey, before I move on, you think Bessent could fill both roles, Treasury and Fed Chairman?
No, I think if he does move, he could move to the Federal Reserve, and someone else would come into Treasury. Right, that is a possibility, but there's absolutely no way one man can fill both roles. That won't happen, I don't think.
Well, we're going to get into retirement insights with Chase in just a few minutes or a minute. Also, the Q&A, I opened it up. It's in the chat. You can switch to it and get your questions in there. I'll come back and we'll pose questions at the very end. But one last thing, James. Before we move on, you posted, I think it was an X reply to a post. I could be wrong, where you said this: if silver bullion is fresh, potable water, paper is seawater. Could you explain that?
Yeah, let's after saying that to the guy, because I was trying to make an analogy, because I was just trying to explain it was something about the leverage involved in the silver and gold markets, and someone just responded out of the clear blue. I don't know who it was, and they said, like, is there that much paper versus physical? So I think what happens is a lot of times we get myopic, we get kind of closed in our small little cells, and with talking to a bunch of people who know this. But 99.9% of the general population has absolutely no idea of this. And that's exactly why last week in that video I highlighted, Robert Gottlieb admitting that that's the situation, a guy who's been in that industry for a decade, 2 double decades, where he traded on those desks, and Ned Naylor Leyland, who are both pretty heavy insiders in the precious metals industry, both hammering the table about it's a risk that the market runs. It's basically like fractional reserve banking with a lot of leverage on top. Right. And it's a financialized system, totally financialized, and it has the potential to blow up in their face. Mm-hmm. And so that's the situation. And the idea, I looked at it and I'm thinking, is that true? So I went and I started doing research, and thank God now, because I don't have to spend as much time as I used to when I do this research. Like, AI is pretty good. I used a few different AIs, and all I had to ask it was, what is the ratio between potable fresh water in the world versus seawater? And it said, 200. Listen to this. It said something like,
what is it?
Originally, it said something like 200 to 1, but like half of it's frozen, so it's about 100 to 1. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, so it's not silver is the compared to fresh water. It's gold. It's compared to the fresh water, and silver is like multiples of that. So I mean, you had the Central Bank of India in 2013 that said. It's that the leverage in 2013 it was like 90 to 1, and that's in 2013. So now I'm sure it's probably 100 to 1 in the gold market. And so I came back to the guy and I said, that's a pretty good analogy, but it's gold that starts with, and then silver is probably threefold that.
Oh, that's cool. That's really neat. All right, retirement insights, Chase. This segment is helping people learn how precious metals can fit within their retirement goals. So give us a quick update, if you will, in your IRA depository. Anything special going on? Anything like big happening?
Yeah, a few things. As you know, this is a big priority for us for reasons that we were talking about before we got on the call, where now you have every major media outlet out there that is basically front running and advertising all the con artists out there that are in the gold and silver retirement space. CNBC, not gonna offend anybody. I don't care, but you can Fox News, everybody. You can name anything, and
the guy next to you did it on his video. He called out. I think it was the New York. Yeah, hold on, New York Post. Check this out. New York Post. Explore the top gold IRAs. American Hartford Gold, Goldco, Patriotic Gold, and at the very bottom, let me click and try to zoom in here. It says New York Post may be compensated and/or receive an affiliate commission if you click buy something through our link.
Yeah. Here's a funny story.
That's not good. That's not good.
No, you see that, you should run.
I
know. We had a guy reach out to us. He just emailed me. Basically, he's trying to get us to send our customers this solicitation, and even said that there was a recent order that his commission was $208,000. Like that little link that you're saying, click there.
Yes.
The commission, not to the actual IRA company, for the affiliate, for the referrer, was $200,000. So can you imagine?
Oh my word!
Yeah,
200,000.
Yeah, as the commission
just
to refer the person.
Just to say, hey, go here.
Yeah.
I'm not getting
can you imagine how much they got ripped off?
200,000. No. You're not paying me to do your IRA. I want to put my own stuff in the IRA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, I mean, it's it's heavy on our hearts, and we've been working on it. So I don't know if you saw. I was going to tell you this 2 months ago. I was in Brazil last month, so I couldn't. But we have an online portal now where you can go, you can apply online, and now you can.
Ooh.
Yankee, once you get going, you'll be able to log in and you'll be able to see your medals. You'll be able to see your cash balance. So
see my medals. Whoa, wait a minute. See the medals.
Sorry, you'll be able to see a record of your medals.
Okay.
You'll be able to see what medals in your account.
Well, when I do it, I'm going to bring my camera because I want to see.
You want to literally see your medals.
I want to literally see it.
You can do that too. Right. So we launched that last month, and with that, we started a free storage promotion for anybody that wants to put precious metals inside of their retirement account. The most basic setup is you already have a pre-existing IRA or 401k that you roll over, and with that money, you buy precious metals. The law states that's got to be stored somewhere.
Yes.
Through our program. Obviously, it's stored in our vault. Very important that it's our vault because it's allocated and segregated into your IRA fund. We just had a customer call us last week. Yankee was extremely frustrated because they bought our mint certified tubes of 20 silver eagles. So what that is we're verifying they're from the mint. We do that with tamper evident proof seals, and they sent them off to not our IRA depository, somewhere that doesn't segregate. And somewhere that doesn't allocate your metals. And when they went to sell them back, they didn't get those metals back. They just got random silver eagles.
They weren't mint sealed. They weren't that tube.
No, they weren't. They weren't what the customer bought. So unfortunately, that customer learned a hard lesson.
That's when the whole silver, all silver is silver, doesn't apply. If you buy something specific, it should be yours in your IRA.
And that's a good place to do it. That's where I do. That's where I buy most of the things that I think are going to appreciate in premium that I'm going to sell. I don't, again, the accumulation and my stacking, that's in my personal stuff. And I certainly accumulated my IRA, but that's also where James and I talked about earlier. That's where we play any of our games where we're going to buy something, maybe sell it in a year or two to cash out on a higher premium because we don't have to worry about capital gains tax in that scenario.
Playing games with your silver.
Well, you stay in the industry long enough, you learn.
I'm kidding. Yeah, you play the arbitrage. You've done swaps. You've done some very interesting and profitable moves. And doing it in an IRA, right? You avoid all that tax.
Yeah, and now the best thing is we're offering free storage.
Wait, what?
Yep. So if you go to
IRA, buried your lead. That is huge. No, seriously, give me the lowdown on that because I did not know. What's free? Well, how does that work, real quick?
Yeah. So essentially, what we realized was, your average order value for an IRA is, significantly higher than a non-IRA order. So most people qualify. There's 3 months free, there's 6 months free, and there's even 12 months free storage that we're offering. I don't know how long we're going to offer it, but we decided to put it out there with when we took the portal live last week. And if you call in. they'll give you all the details about it.
Get going.
But it's been helping people kind of get the ball rolling when they know that they don't have to pay for storage for a period of time.
I'm going to get the ball rolling when a specific silver round appears. I've had questions, a lot of questions, on where's the Yankee Tim round. It's coming, right? Real soon, really soon.
I heard we're going to see one this week or next week in the flesh. So it's very exciting stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
So stick around for that, guys. It's going to be lit. All right. Let's see. So are people buying more or less right now in their IRAs with the recent increase in price of silver, especially? You see any fluctuation, any change in people's IRAs around that?
Oddly enough, I find it pretty weird. You actually kind of have, whenever overall demand is down, your IRA demand business will be down as well, because we verified this with our custodian, who's the largest custodian out there, and we're one of their largest customers. And so they verify with us when we ask them, so is the entire industry down? Yeah, the entire IRA industry is down. So
well, Trump's president. Everything is awesome.
I don't know. I think that's part of it.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be.
Yeah.
And let's hope things stay awesome, because to me this stuff is wealth insurance. It's protection. And honestly, I did a poll not too long ago saying, would you rather have an economy that's robust, truly growing, the GDP growing legitimately against debt, our debt reduced, sound money, you name it, all back, and have your gold and silver worth half what it's worth now in terms of dollars? I want to. I think about my kids and my future grandkids. I want a country that is economically viable and not, waiting for the next crisis or, God forbid, collapse, a dollar fiat currency collapse. I don't want that. So that's what this is, guys. You got to stack the physical. Obviously, make sure that you have it in your own vault first, and then for those of you who do actually have an IRA or 401k or something that's already tax deferred, and you want to protect it with real physical metals, check out SD Bullion's gold and silver, and anything, actually, platinum, palladium, whatever you want to put in there, their vault, their IRA. If people right now are interested in speaking with you in more detail about this, what's the link? What do they go to?
Yep, it's simple. IRA.sdbullion.com. And you bring up a good point there. When you look at what platinum's done and palladium's done, not just recently, but over the years, that is a place to, I use the word play if you want, but that's definitely the place to utilize the tax haven there. I was talking to James this morning, actually, about putting some palladium in the IRA, because
Really?
Yeah. I mean, if it does what it's done, you have the opportunity to sell it and parlay that money back into metals, and you don't have to. There's no tax consequence. There's no IRS reporting. There's no CPA. I don't have to talk to my CPA about it. So, it's a vehicle that it should be utilized in your long-term retirement planning, in my opinion. I've been doing this now for 5 years personally. It's a similar vehicle that you have, Yankee, and I mean, it's just the flexibility, and it's a no-brainer.
So James, I said platinum, palladium. We didn't talk about those. Let me just bring up the chart really quick before we get the Q&A questions going. This is platinum. It also shot up, but then it got smacked hard today. What went on with platinum?
So one thing to remember about platinum is it's not a monetary metal, right? So it trades more or less with the commodity market, more so than, say, silver or gold do.
Yep.
Whereas silver and gold especially has more of the store of value, flight to quality money trade, whereas silver has a duality. And it's going to be volatile. That's just the bottom line. Platinum is volatile metal. It's a small market, micro tiny. And so it gets moved around up or down. So, it's one of those things you just got to buckle up for if you're going to be getting into platinum, and keep a long-term view. Because I don't think you buy physical platinum bullion with the view of dumping it a year or two from now. I think when you look at the fundamentals for platinum, you look out to the 2030s, where I think all four of these precious metals, be them gold, silver, platinum, or palladium, I think in the 2030s, they're all going to be hitting new nominal price, record highs. The question is, which ones are going to, go outperform the best, and which ones, depending on the volatility of it all.
It may be volatile, but look at the year to date on platinum, man. Everybody's been talking about platinum. That's a pretty impressive rise. And palladium, what about palladium?
Palladium, to me, I was talking to Chase about it. At this price point, if you look at like a long-term price chart, palladium, remember the late 2010s, palladium was the first of the precious metals to kind of go through a short squeeze. There was a time where we had Volkswagen Dieselgate, and all the manufacturers switched from platinum to palladium in their manufacturing, essentially, and there just wasn't enough palladium. So like all the ETFs and ETPs got rated, the NYMEX got rated, virtually all the palladium that underlied the entire global markets got rated, and it was in short supply. And then you had levered longs just winning over and over in the NYMEX. You had a situation where palladium ran from 500 to 3,000. So a six-fold increase in a matter of 5 years. And so, that was a pretty great move. You're talking about the year of 2016 to about 2021 where that occurred. Now we're off. We're at like 1,300 or so, and palladium hit 3,000. For it to get back to 3,000 next decade and go beyond that, that certainly could happen. Palladium, when I look at them all four, I would say platinum would be my third favorite. Palladium would probably be my fourth, just in terms of the fundamentals of it all.
Gold your second, silver your first?
Silver, I'm definitely a silver bug at heart. I mean, it's just a great metal. I think it's just so underutilized and it's not understood, and it's going to have its time. That time is coming, and I think the world is going to finally recognize that silver has been undervalued for far too long. But yeah, so silver first, gold second, platinum third, palladium fourth. But I wouldn't have an issue with having a mix of all those in my portfolio. The platinum, palladium probably single digits, whereas the silver would be outsized in terms of the size of allocation.
Wow. All right.
Well, for me.
Yeah, and that holds weight. I love hearing what you would do personally. I'm a little older. I've actually put a little bit into the gold than I did the silver, but I love the upside potential for silver. It's beautiful.
Yeah. It's a question of timelines and where you are in life. I feel like I'm a pretty healthy person, so I figure I got another 15, 20 years to wait this thing out, figure it out.
And you said 40. What do you think? 40 in this price move here and then back down to 36?
Yeah, I think that's very possible because what happens with silver, it has an impulse move up and then an impulse back trend, right? So it does like the 3-step forward, 2-step back type move. And it's very scary, if you're someone who's in there doing like short-term trading. That's one of the wildest, hardest markets to short-term trade. Unless you have an edge, good luck in that. It's very difficult. But if you have the long-term view, if you listen to Bunker Hutt and his original advice in the early 70s, and you buy the physical and you don't get out on leverage and you don't get over your skis in debt, that's the best way to go with silver, the long pull.
All right, it's time for the Q&A. Are you ready? There's some good ones in here. I knew this one was going to come up right there. I see 1, 2, 3 people all asking about the next commander. You knew it, Chase. I hope you came ready.
August.
You came ready with it. You came ready with a month. Okay.
It's next month.
It's next month. Would it be early month, mid, late?
They didn't tell me that.
Oh, they
just
did
told me August.
All right, there you go. So there it is. If Chase only knows August, you only know August.
Yeah.
Can I give you a tough question here from Rick? It's kind of tough. And it even said for Chase. Why does SD Bullion take twice as long to process a credit card purchase as competitors? Whoa! I told you that was tough. I don't pull punches
It's pretty broad. That's pretty broad.
So he's believing that it takes a long time. Do you have anything that if gives you some status on the speed by which you do your credit card purchases?
No. So I can tell you this: if you order with SD Bullion with a credit card before noon, it's going to ship tomorrow, assuming that that gets cleared through fraud. Okay, so it's good. Okay. You order today, it's going to ship tomorrow. You order afternoon, it's going to ship the next day. I mean, that's pretty fast.
Yeah, it is.
I will tell you, we test order from all of our competitors. Okay.
Oh, you do.
And they do.
Smart.
So I my guess is I know what this person's talking about. They do issue your tracking very quickly. Your tracking number.
Yep.
That's processing. That doesn't mean your order is actually shipped. It just means you got your tracking number. So your box is sitting there, not doing anything, waiting on
But you got a tracking number.
the courier, but you got a tracking number. Here's the other thing I can tell you. Those competitors do about 7 to 8 times less orders a month than we do. So you have a situation to where they have a system to where they have a significantly smaller amount of orders they're processing, and their system that they're doing is spitting out a tracking number before your metals are in the box. So I think if you actually said, when does the box arrive, it's going to be around the same time point, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Also, you mentioned fraud. Do you think some other dealers are, I don't know, less, I don't know, less cautious about that? I mean, you've gone, SD Bullion has some history. You've been around a while, over 20 years, so you know what can be done. Is it, what do you think?
I wouldn't say that they I don't know what word you use, but I'm friends with all the owners of all the small dealers that we would be talking about, and I would just say some of them just don't know because they don't have the experience, right? They haven't. The bigger we've gotten, Yankee, the more of the target we've become for everybody, whether it's, I mean, you could just name it. People are constantly trying to hack us. They're trying to do this. They're trying to sue us. A lot of the smaller dealers, they haven't had to face that stuff yet. So the only way through that is learning. And so, I mean, we have a ton of layers in place now of prevention to protect our company and ultimately protect our customers.
Excellent.
Yeah, I can speak to that firsthand. And gold, silver, when we started, once we got large enough, we finally were big enough to get to attract those fraud rings. And there was a time where there was like African fraud rings of like immigrants who came here essentially to the United States to run scams with credit cards. And they were so sophisticated, they would send in fake IDs. They would front run the package to FedEx, middlemen places. They wouldn't even bother to wait for it to get delivered where it was supposed to get delivered. They would literally drive town to town to pick the stuff up.
Oh my goodness.
So it gets pretty sophisticated. And I don't think a lot of these new competitors who are kind of cutting their teeth in the market have gotten burned yet. But we're talking about multi 6-figure burns that can happen in a week very quickly. So
that might slow them down if that happened to them.
Yeah, it's no joke.
Wow. Ken said, "Have I missed it? Why?" Oh, you're going to love this one, James. Why hasn't President Trump gone to Fort Knox, West Point? Can I just quickly answer? That'll happen right after the Epstein list gets released.
No,
go ahead. Answer why.
I mean, there's a thing that the libs like to pound the table on when it comes to Trump. They use the administration uses a tactic a lot called flood the zone, which is basically poke the bear and very that are very important and emotional things to their followers, right? And to stir up all types of trouble on social media using that stuff. And so, it was very effective, right? I mean, the Epstein thing for a long time has been a massive thing online. And then the Fort Knox thing was just how loud it got for weeks about that, right?
It was a blip compared to Epstein now.
Yeah.
But it was a big deal. I mean, I thought, okay, we're going to see this. Of course, Elon was still in good graces, but
for a president to be sitting in that position to be talking so loudly about that. That's kind of a first in our lifetimes. It's never really happened. So it gave a lot of people some hopium, and that hopium, you should let that hopium go. I was trying to tell people that right away. The United States empire is never going to do a full audit of its gold. I would say I would put a bet on my lifetime that'll never happen. Yeah,
never happen.
Never. It will never happen. The number that is on the books, it might go up. It's not going down. At some point, they may actually go buy some more, or they may say, "Oh, we have this other cord that we never told you about in deep storage." That may occur, but then there might be an audit. Actually, if they do a deep storage gold thing, then you might see a really interesting audit. But that would be a reveal that they would use in a crisis situation, like a severe crisis where they have to restore faith in the system, in the dollar, in the new dollar, or whatever they're creating in the next system. So I just don't think there'll be an audit of the current 8,133 tons of gold that they were poking the bear with earlier this year.
Don't hold your breath. By the way, I just want to say thanks to JT Coin Rings for super chatting $2. Coin drop, thanks, buddy, and also John Ruck. Thanks for the $2 super chat. Hit the like and share the stream. I hope you guys are enjoying this. And we have another question here. Jason says, will we see a revaluation on gold and silver?
You're already seeing it slowly but surely.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yes, it's happening right now.
This is a beautiful deleveraging in gold, and it's the leader in the deleveraging. And Luke Groman pointed out, I kind of did a quick shout out last week about it. I mean, he was talking about that's essentially what you're seeing is that gold just continues going up in price. Right. The emerging markets that have been buying it, central banks have been buying in record size, so they have much larger gold hoards. And therefore, their U.S. debt, with the dollar getting weaker in relative terms, their debt is becoming less cumbersome. So we don't necessarily have to go through some deflationary nightmare, in order to kind of get out of some of the quagmires that we're in. You just basically have to let the gold price run, and it helps a lot of the emerging markets that are in U.S. debt to kind of get out of that debt. Right? It's the same concept as if you bought a house, you have a mortgage, but you have a pile of bullion over here. Pile of bullion triples. Now all of a sudden, nominally you could easily pay off your mortgage. You probably want to keep letting that bullion ride, so you just keep steadily paying your mortgage, and then eventually maybe you'll pay it down quicker when it really does its manic move. So it's the same concept.
Baby Shark, we talked about Trump's tweets. He has a question. Elon Musk, could he tweet something out that would affect the silver market?
Yeah, I don't think he'll ever do it because it's not in his interest, right? I mean,
why would he want to drive it up?
Yeah. I mean, think about what he sells. I mean, it's solar, it's Teslas. Those are very, in silver. They use a lot of silver, right? Yeah. I mean, so it's not really in his interest to see copper or silver run away in price, and for him to be pounding the table on silver, that's something I wouldn't expect.
Not publicly. How about privately? Do you think he would hoover up silver?
Oh, yeah. I mean, privately, he'd be like Bill Gates in the late 90s, buying miners and like Buffett, going long on silver. But publicly, they know that's a kind of a taboo subject. And you see it now, even today, like they talk about critical mineral resources. They never mention silver as a critical resource. But it's totally critical resource. You have to have silver if you want to have a military. It's just a fact. So silver is in short supply, and that'd be the last thing what they want to do is create a stampede in the silver.
Oh, we got one from Baroque Blues that I might try to answer. Do you think junk silver will always be, quote, junk silver relative to silver price? Or will there be a time in the future where it's sought out more? As a prepper and a prepper stacker, I stack what I call 90% constitutional silver because I want to possibly be able to have that as an option for me in a barter or trade economy. I pray that never happens, and maybe the odds of that are low, but I have really tested that theory out in a variety of ways. I've done different videos on that, and it's viable, especially in more rural areas, especially right here in New Hampshire, where there's a vibrant barter silver. I went to the farmer's market on Wednesday, and last Wednesday I was like, hey, would you take silver? Would you take silver? Would you take? And yes. Oh, my word. Now, some of the younger ones are like, huh? Venmo only, dude. I'm like, okay. But then I got to some older sets, and they looked at me and were like, absolutely, but you would part with the silver? And I was like, it's a proof of concept only, man. He's like, yeah, absolutely, I'll do it. But yes, junk silver or 90% silver, constitutional silver is definitely a valuable thing to have as part of your stack.
One interesting thing about the 9% quarter now, I mean, there's always been this stacker thing where I could always afford you a gallon of gas. Well, now it affords you 2 gallons of gas. It's $7 now for
wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that is fascinating. Yeah, I can see a time where we could buy a gallon of gas for a dime silver or something, and it's
it get multiple from there. All of a sudden, a couple quarters fills your tank.
There you go. Right.
I know how crazy things can get.
It could get crazy, and if anybody doubts that, just look at COVID. That was a shot over the bow. You should wake up.
Or travel to another country.
Okay.
Go to Brazil for a month.
Right.
I mean, bartering is actually a real thing in other countries. It's real common in Brazil. If you want to sell your house, you might sell it. You might trade it for coffee, or you might trade it for another piece of land. it's very common to barter in these other countries for hard assets. Uh, Places in South America that they don't really have a gold and silver culture like the Western world does and the Asian world does, and India.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, bartering's already happened around the world. I mean, everybody's already lost faith in the currency, and eventually the U.S. will be in the same boat.
Oh.
Just travel to another part of the world, and you'll see what the future looks like.
Right.
Yeah.
All right,
that's
Dave?
why. That's definitely why I look at a lot of emerging markets. A lot of them are leading indicators, and he's talking. You're speaking right to that. I mean, they're leading indicators. What can happen in the developed world that's coming unraveling.
Interesting. Dave says in comments, why are people saying I had to buy before September 12th? I don't know, David. Also, isn't gold a tier 1 metal? Actually, it's a tier 1 asset, right? Treated like cash, currency, right? And treasury.
Yeah, that's supposed to be the Basel III thing that was supposed to occur. I'm not sure whether or not it did. I saw the last.
Did it get pushed?
I think it was pushed to the side. And, like in the end, I think that a lot of that is it's not all that important. If you continue to have gold in the deleveraging cycle and it goes up nominally as time goes on, eventually it'll be a situation where, I would imagine there'll be a situation where you can use your bullion and get loaned off it with a bank, in time. You give it a situation where gold goes toward 10,000 an ounce, there'll be a whole hoopla of ways that you can finance things with bullion.
Chase, here's one for you. Is there a fee when someone takes out their silver from your IRA depository?
It depends. If you're shipping it, yes, you would incur a shipping fee to ship it to you. If you're just selling out of it to settle, no.
I don't sell my metals. I don't sell silver. I don't sell my physical gold or my silver. I think I once flipped a palladium way back. I forget which one it was. Just flipped it, and then I was like, "I'm not a flipper stacker. I don't know. That's not worth it to me. I buy it and I hold it and I keep it forever, unless I absolutely had to." However, I would say that if I had physical precious metals in your depository, when it came time for me to pull it out, I would evaluate the situation. That is the only place where I think I might. Oh man, I don't know. Part of me says no. I have it in my hands after when I can. 59.5, which I'm really getting close to. So yeah, I think I might.
Well, but you have the option, right?
Yeah, you can either way
in the retirement. But when you have a gold and silver retirement, you can actually just take physical delivery at that time. You don't have to settle in dollars, which is a big benefit to a lot of people.
Yep. We have another one. I'm not sure I understand. Maybe you guys will. Can I pause auto invest if it's being sent to me? How often are packages lost? I want to buy. I'm afraid. So the first part was I want to pause auto invest if it's being sent to me.
Yeah.
Does that?
No,
I know.
It doesn't ring a bell for
I'm
us,
not. You might have to restate that, Silverista. Yeah. But how often are packages lost?
It's less than 1%. Yeah, it happens for sure. Yeah, it happens. Things get lost in the mail, or unfortunately, some couriers just steal it.
I bought something just the other day, and I'm fighting over it. It didn't show up. You know what's so funny? Just a side note. I go shooting at the range, and my son-in-law and I we wanted a sort of dueling tree for steel targets. I bought it through Amazon, right? And it was during their Amazon days, and they shipped it out via FedEx. Well, I get the picture, and here it is. It's delivered. It's not even my number. It's a house that's not a completely different number, like 15. I'm like, dude, are you serious? Nope, sorry. So it does happen, and not usually. I usually get what I order, but it's the shipper that's causing the problem, not SD Bullion, right?
Yep, it's a shipper, but we have a really good process in place to help people out when this happens. So,
good.
I would say almost every case gets resolved really quickly.
I've always gotten your silver and gold. So
I've never
had an issue myself, but it does happen. It does happen. Yeah.
So don't be afraid, Silverista. You can buy. All right. So over here says, is it better for the government to print actual physical cash, or for them to put it on a computer? Does it matter?
Yeah. So when you look at the numbers, there's like people talk about currency supplies,
right? M2.
There's the base layer is currency in circulation, and that's the tiniest amount. That's the physical cash notes, literally, that are out in the domestic United States. that doesn't even account for the cash that's outside in the world, right? I mean, the amount of cash that's outside of the world dwarfs what's inside the United States. So there's all different types of buckets. But when you talk about the total M3 supply, even that is just the domestic United States alone. I've never found a data set that shows you the offshore dollar, size. Like you'd have to go down BIS rabbit holes probably to figure out an estimation, but it's ginormous. There's a lot of dollars.
For those of you just joining and asking about the Commander series, Chase has already said August. They just keep coming in. Will we start seeing more people stacking copper now?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
It's too hard to. The price points don't really
I ran that
sense.
by Mrs. Yankee, and she said, "Okay, what room do you want?"
Exactly.
I was like, "No,
exactly.
no, I don't think so." Do you deliver to Canada?
Yep.
Also, with Canadian dollar being weak, can SD Bullion take advantage of the price difference in exchange to provide cheaper silver for Americans?
No, it doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't work that way. Sorry. Will you ever accept Zelle for payment? Have you thought about this? Have you?
Oh yeah, we thought about it. Yeah, I mean, if you want to put a poll out, we're looking at Google
Zelle.
Pay, Apple Pay. Well, you got Venmo. People want Venmo. I think Zelle's a little different.
Okay. I use it. It's nice.
Since it's by your bank account, right? It's a bank
But
service.
it's also it can do third party. It's an app as well as native with the bank. So
yeah.
All right. Oh, here's one that we always get. Any recommendations on how many ounces of silver I should stack for each ounce of gold? What is your personal GSR, gold to silver ratio, in your stack? I did videos on this, several. I even did some charts and broke it down by how much your budget is for precious metals. But there are other factors too, how much you currently have, what your debt situation is, how old you are, your risk tolerance, all that. But really, it depends. Down in the $1,000, $5,000. I've been telling more silver than gold by far, almost all silver. But then as you start to get into a higher budget, you add in the gold more. So it depends on a lot of factors. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's a real personal thing. I've always told people when they ask that question is you kind of have to write your own dissertation as to why,
your stacking strategy.
Yeah, why you're investing in it. What are the reasons? You need to actually write a paragraph as to why are you interested in buying gold, silver, etc. And if you read it back to yourself, probably what you'll find is multiple reasons for it. If it's to not only to preserve your wealth, if that's like very important to you, you got to have some gold. And if you're looking for some enhancement and you can stomach the volatility of the price moves, silver then needs to be a part of the play as well.
Right.
Depends on your age, the timelines.
Yeah, sure.
So these are all questions that need to be considered.
I highly recommend a couple playlists on my channel. Help for New Stackers is one, and also Stacking the Yankee Way, and where I break down my strategy and I show a whole bunch of helpful tools and tips that help you define your own strategy. You don't have to stack the Yankee Way. You can stack the way you do it, but this is how I follow it. And I'm very deliberate about this. I was when I first started. I just didn't want to go winging it. I really thought it through. And I've tweaked it a bit, but I haven't really changed it over the decades that I've done it.
It's amazing.
I've learned a few things, and I've tweaked several things, and I put that in videos as well. But
isn't the most thing the actual doing of it, the discipline of the saving, the slowly acquiring, right?
I think that is very important. Some people use stacking as a way to instill discipline. Right? Yeah. There's some friction there when you go and you got to buy it and then to sell it and convert it back. It's tougher. I think that discipline's good.
You're basically like freezing a store of value. I mean, for a long-term thing, it's that is one thing. It's not as easy as just selling a stock. Like you can emotionally sell a stock on a website very quickly, right? So
the most important question, I think you said it, but it was, why are you stacking? Why?
Yeah.
The
fundamental reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And if those fundamentals, if those continue to stay in the market, then you probably need to stay with your bullion. Like at least a percentage of your allocation. So long as the world is such, you need to continue holding it.
Right.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying earlier. It's like, with all the headlines and the price action, and it's a constant reminder of what I'm doing and what is my plan, because it's pretty easy to get distracted.
Oh, get excited,
Oh,
distracted,
of course. Oh,
or
gold's going up.
catch the FOMO,
Yeah.
right? Or
Yeah.
just act rashly, panic stack. I did a whole video called "Do Not Panic Stack," and I defined what panic stacking is. And I've also experienced, because I've had this channel and I interact with a lot of people through comments and emails. I've learned that there's stacking regret. People who buy too much, go beyond. They have other issues that they're not dealing with. That's really the reason I started my whole membership program, was to really help people one-on-one with their personal, situations. But anyways, there's a lot there. Check out the playlist if you want. I got a few more questions, and then we're going to wrap it up. Do you think BRICS nations are a big reason for the run on metals, James? They did meet.
Yeah, of course. In the sense of they're on the gold side. I mean, you have Russia, China, who've been buying precipitously amounts of gold, since the GFC 2008. And then probably one of the biggest things that happened was the freezing of Russian gold, of Russian treasuries, when they invaded Ukraine. I mean, to freeze their treasuries, and like, it was a lot. It's like 300 billion. I mean, it was like, I don't know what percentage of their sovereign, wealth that was. It was like a third or more. It was huge. And for them to do that to Russia, every other emerging market looks around and sees that, and they're like, "Oh, okay, so those are the new rules of the game." Like, we thought that it was sacrosanct, that you would never touch the treasuries, but no, they did. And so that was a big shot across the bow. And so, yeah, I mean, just look at the emerging markets, and they continue to sell dollars and allocate toward gold, and they continue to not show up to buy the treasury debt, right?
Right. I think the only thing that saves us when it comes to the BRICS is not their desire to see the hegemony of the US dollar destroyed, but their ability to do it at this point.
Sure.
They are just not the economies. They're not able to do it, but they want to.
Yeah, but I mean, look, if you look at like what, if you look at infographics that show that the United States used to be globally the world leader in exports in 2000, and then where it is now, I mean, we are boxed in. It's like Mexico and like a couple countries in like Central America that we are like number one exporters to still, and China is everything else. I mean, the whole world, right? So we live in probably one of the most propagandized developed markets in the world, and so you need to remember that what you hear a lot of times is just not true if you actually go down the rabbit hole. So you need to think in terms, you need to have some respect for China. They have grown a lot, and they are trading a lot around the world, and they are a real threat to our way of life in the future. I mean, it is inevitable, I think, that we go to a world that's not just unipolar dominant United States.
Speaking of China, a question here. Recent Chinese confiscation of gold last 2 weeks. Did you read about this? And the discovery of gold-plated titanium in official Chinese vaults. What does that mean? I mean, are we looking at this going, this could spread, this is a one-off, doesn't really affect us? What's going on there?
So people need to understand Chinese market, like China is a culture. They are, there's like a long history there of like it being a sport, making high-end counterfeits, right? And so for there to be really, really high-end, say, kilo bars of gold that are counterfeits that are really well done, and perhaps then not being picked up and understood when they went to a vault, and then later figured out, because I don't think 5-10 years ago people were as aggressive with the technologies that they have now to check these bars. So that doesn't surprise me that some high-end counterfeits got inside of a vault, but it's not something that's widespread. It's not something that's plagued at all the Western market. I've never heard of anything in like real size occurring, and so the industry understands that. I mean, look, the number one, first and foremost, is you get the genuine bona fide product that you purchase, and then if you're accepting it into your system, you better damn well make sure it's the bona fide product. And so it's your reputation, man. Reputation's number one in this industry.
Chase, what do you think of the 1/4 ounce gold twin maple?
Quarter. I don't know that one.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. If I had Cole here, he probably would
Yeah,
have known,
exactly,
right? He went, oh yeah, I've looked at the.
Yeah, exactly.
Their COO knows his stuff when it comes to the specifics on these things. So I don't either. But I did get a clarification from Silverista. Don't they have auto invest? I was asking if I sign up and I need to take a month off, can I? So do you
Okay,
have
sorry.
the auto buy a certain
We
amount?
I wish we're
You don't
working
have
on
that,
it.
do you?
It's on a
Okay.
roadmap. It's on a roadmap. Yep.
Okay, so you might be thinking of someone else, but no, that might be coming. One last one. Oh, there's two. Last two. Stable coins, will they affect assets like silver and gold?
The administration, I think they want to have stable coins expand to help, to continue the U.S. Dollars market share essentially around the world. But I think they want to have it under stablecoin purview, so they have more control, able to see in the back ends of these systems who has what dollars. Whereas right now the system's very opaque. A lot of offshore banks, they have no idea who owes how many dollars, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a combination of control. I think they want it, and also to keep the U.S. dollar debt system floating and not going into chaos. They'll do it to make sure that doesn't occur.
I think a stable coin adopted at the central bank level is a Trojan horse for a central bank digital currency by a different name. And I don't like it. I don't like what Circle, I think they're getting in bed too much with our government. Yeah. That company, there's some really big concerns.
I don't know if you remember Scott Menard. He passed away, but he was a big silver bull in the early 2020s. Scott Menard was a billionaire trader from the bond market, and he talked about silver, being a great trade in the early 2020s. And in 2011, he went on Fox Business News in September, back 14 years ago, the high that we just got over recently. And he was like, the literal headline on the clip says like silver $500 by 2031. And he just starts it out. He's like, look, the story goes like this. I'm talking to my grandkid. My grandkids, I'm basically like scoff at him and says, everybody knows paper money, isn't worth anything. And the lady, like, who's interviewing him, she's like, you think that's going to happen? And he's like, yeah, I do. He said it pretty damn frank. And that guy was pretty well connected with New York Federal Reserve and with the World Economic Forum. I mean, that he was pretty deep entrenched in the system and what they want ultimately, what they're driving to. So it was kind of a scary comment, but it also was kind of like, yeah, silver's going to go nuts in the future. Maybe not this moment, but it will in the next 20 years.
Prescient.
That's what he was saying.
All right, last one. Is it possible that the banks are manipulating the silver price to get more people to sell? That keeps pressure on the price.
I mean, the markets are always manipulated in one way or another, right? And so right now, ultimately, the allegations may be still to the downside because that we've come out of a decade of that, like of absolute criminality to the downside,
right?
And so therefore, it makes sense that a decade from now, we're going to have upside criminality. You're going to have market longs that are going to be, there's going to be allegations as to why the silver price is driving up, right? And so, I think there's going to be a situation where you'll have Chinese silver traders who are going to be there's going to be allegations against them on the Shanghai Futures Exchange. It's just inevitable that you'll end up having some Asian bunker hunt type style traders who are going to really be ramping the silver price to the upside.
All right. Well, Tiger, thank you so much for that $10 super chat. I appreciate it. I know you're late. No notice, and no, the notifications weren't rigged. All right. So thank you, guys. This was a great episode. Put a 1 in the chat if you learned something on mastering metals tonight. Put it in the chat. I'm really interested to see. Number 1, did you learn something new? Something you didn't know? Look at those ones. That's why we do this. This is great. This is what mastering metals is all about. You walk away going, oh, wow, I know much more than I did. And it's all because of those two guys right there on the screen, Chase and James. Thank you guys so much. And thank you all for watching Mastering Metals. Subscribe, hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on the next one. And make sure you subscribe to SD Bullion's YouTube channel too, so you get James's videos each Friday. All right. Anything else, guys? Are we good?
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, I would just say, make sure you subscribe to SD Bullion. James just sat down with the owner of SD Bullion today and shot a podcast that I haven't seen yet because I wasn't there. So I'm excited to see what they were talking about when it comes out. So
Cool.
It's our next Invault podcast. So make sure you say. And also, applaud James. James just got back from a trip overseas Sunday, and this is his third interview today. So I don't know how he's held it together so well. So thanks, man. I appreciate that.
James.
Little afternoon nap before this one.
Iron Man. Oh wow, I appreciate that very much. All right, guys, thanks a lot. We'll see you next time on Mastering Metals. Good night.